Learning scales can be broken down into three main steps. The first step is to memorize the pattern so we have a roadmap that allows us to move fluidly across the fretboard in any key. The second step is to learn more interesting ways of navigating that pattern, so you're not simply moving up and down the scale in a predictable linear sequence. But while these first two steps are important, the third step is where we're confident enough to start adding in embellishments to give our scale movements more feeling and expression. After all, we don't want to sound like a robot. We want to convey meaning and emotion through our playing. By far the easiest way of doing this is by using what I call the chromatic approach method. Simply put, it involves playing into scale tones using slides, bends or hammer-ons. Let's start with a scale we should all be familiar with, minor pentatonic. For the examples in this lesson, I'm using the root of A. With just 5 notes, there's quite a limited vocabulary for us to play with, but we can make this simple scale sound much richer by using this chromatic approach method. All we do is take each note in the scale and add in a chromatic tone 1 fret below. Try playing through the scale as normal, but adding in those chromatic tones before each scale tone. We can soften or slur these movements by using legato techniques such as hammer-ons or slides. We can also bend up from the chromatic tone to the scale tone. If you're not confident with these core lead techniques, then you'll find countless lessons on YouTube and on fretjam.com to help you. The problem is that few lessons actually talk about how to apply these techniques in a practical way. The chromatic approach method is just one of these ways. Obviously, we'll want to create more meaningful phrases using this method. Try the following exercise. Start by playing a simple 3 or 4 note phrase. For example, now start to add in these chromatic embellishments. There are no rules here, just keep repeating the phrase, adding in bends, slides and hammer-ons on different notes. By going through this exercise regularly, you'll get into the habit of feeling your way through the scale, rather than simply plodding aimlessly from one note to the next. Hopefully you can hear how playing into some of our notes gives the phrase much more feeling and colour. And we've only done this with minor pentatonic so far, but it works for any scale you learn. Let's now try something similar with a 7-note scale. Here I'm playing B flat mixolydian at the 6th fret. This time I'm going to repeat a scale tone using the chromatic approach. So I'll play the note as normal, but then slide or bend into it immediately after. Repetition is a great way of emphasizing those strong chord and colour tones. And now some more examples of approaching this scale chromatically. The key thing is to resolve these chromatic tones quickly. Played on their own, they would often sound unpleasantly dissonant to most ears. But by resolving them up to a scale tone, they take on a whole new quality. The strong destination tone puts the chromatic tone into context. So now you have the basic idea. Try adding in these chromatic approaches to scales you know, even existing licks and solos you've learned. See how much more you can say by embellishing them in this way, and give them your own personal touch. The great thing about this method is that if you gave the same phrase to 10 guitarists, no one would sound the same. So embellishment is a big part of being yourself on guitar. Of course, what we've looked at here isn't the only way to embellish your lead phrases, and we'll look at other ways to inject feeling and emotion into your solos in future lessons. In the meantime, for more examples and backing tracks to try out your own ideas, see the lesson page. Cheers.